All right, hello guys. So we're back with another Winds of Winter themed stream. This one is still a Q&A, but I thought I would give it like some sort of title or topic because I didn't really put out a announcement to get questions for this stream. So yeah, we're going to freeball it. We'll just go wherever we go. We're going to talk about a topic that I have in one of my videos this week. So I'm probably going to go in depth here because I know it's going to be a Winds of Winter video that's going to do well on the channel regardless. But we're going to talk about some things. But hi, Jesse. How are you? How is your day? Haley, how are you? How is your day? Hi, Maz. How are you? Also, if anyone messaged me on Instagram or Discord, I saw it, but I have not messaged back. So yeah, I'll get there when I get there. It's been a very busy day. I guess I'll start the stream with like, how my day was while we wait for people to come in the stream. And yeah, very busy day. I had to take my mom to work today and then proceeded. So like I have a weird thing where it's like I got up earlier than usual, but then I had like no time really to like go back to sleep to then get up for school. So it was like a really weird thing. So then went to school today and then came back from school. It was just a whole ordeal. Haven't really had much time to do anything because then I had to go pick her up. Just got back like literally 20 minutes ago for stream. I had enough time in between class and then picking my mom up that I ended up getting tomorrow's video done, which is a really good one. It's going to be the trial by combat for Tyrion's first one anyway. That should be a really fun one. I really enjoyed making that video and or like recording it, editing it, all that stuff. And then just kind of did while I was in class. I know I should have been paying attention, but also did some brainstorming for videos for the upcoming weeks. And I'm also planning kind of a Halloween like themed week, which is going to be like, doing the others, doing the Forsaken chapter analysis because it's, one of the darker chapters in Song of Ice and Fire. So yeah, I've been planning for that. I'm really excited. Halloween is like my favorite holiday, which is weird because it's like growing up as a kid, it was always my favorite holiday. And then as I get a little bit older, I was like, Halloween's kind of, it's not great anymore. Don't dress up anymore. It's like, But yeah. And then now that I've gotten older and we started having, me and my friends having like a Halloween costume party, I really enjoyed Halloween again. So Maz doing good, just got home from work. Love to see it, Maz. Get to do a little bit of relaxation. Wasn't sure I was gonna make the stream myself. Matthew, you're always here, so like let's be honest. Let's be honest. Hi random stuff, how are you? Anyone want to take bets on whether this will be another Ashley-less stream? Hopefully not, because Matthew being unchecked by another mod is a scary thought. Hi Spider Wave, how are you? Love the channel, one of my favorite songs. Thank you, that means a lot. I appreciate you for all the support as always. But yeah, so let's kind of go into, I guess, let's go into the actual topic of the stream. So the topic of the stream is going to be more on this idea of Tyrion versus Barristen. And the way I've always looked at this dynamic has been Dany is going to have a lot of advisors. And I think her chief two are going to end up being Tyrion and Barristen. And the reasons that is because one, Barristen is the most loyal person to Dany. So Dany knows like his intentions are very pure. But on the flip side of that, you see Tyrion as this character that's very smart. He's going to have a lot of value to Dany. And I think it's going to be one of these relationships where Dany, to begin with, will believe and side a lot more with someone like Barristen. And Tyrion is going to be someone that, because of maybe Barristen's blunders, or maybe, again, this is all assuming that Barristen actually lives the Battle of Meereen. I think he will. I hope he does anyway. I think he just has so much more value to the story. I talk about this all the time. Barristen's one of the best POVs for George trying to do any lore dumps, anything to explore, the War of the Ninepenny Kings, any of that stuff. He's a perfect outlet towards stuff with Robert's Rebellion. He's a great character to still be alive, in my opinion. And also playing, again, the whole part of this stream is going to be this dynamic between Tyrion, Dany, and then Barristan. And Barristan's going to be someone that maybe this is the way Tyrion comes to power, because Barristan is someone that maybe is taking some actions that Dany does not like, right? Barristan has basically taken Hisdar out of power completely. Maybe that was the right move. maybe that wasn't. I am someone that probably thinks that wasn't the best move when you look at what things are going to happen and who the actual Sons of the Harpy are. I also believe, again, going with Shave Pate was not a good idea. I think Shave Pate was someone that has some ulterior motives, and I want to do a video because I want to explore the idea of Shave Pate poisoning the locusts. I think that'll be a fun video, and I want to do that at some point. And I also think there's a really interesting idea that Shave Pate could actually flip on all of our characters and actually lock Barristen and our Dany loyalists, I guess, outside of Marine, maybe to some of their deaths, which could be interesting. But yeah. Hi, Agor. How are you? It was close. I just got home now. Okay. Well, Matthew, you made it. It's okay. Fun fact, October 31st marks the end of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, since Hungary ended that personal union on that day. Interesting. I did not know that. Not gonna lie, a physical fight between Barristen and Tyrion would probably be rather interesting to see. Nah, Barristen would punt him, okay? Barristen would win. Even in Barristen's, what would I like to say? What am I trying to say here? Barristen, even in his old age, would win. That's all I'm gonna say. Hi, Ghost. How are you? No, I didn't. I thought they. I have no idea. I do not know the most about World War One. I will be completely honest. Like outside of like its effects on World War Two and some of the beginning stuff, I don't know World War One as much as I would like to do. That's something I want to get more into. I'm just more of a World War Two guy, or even like American Civil War type of guy. I think that's very much understood. Just looking at my videos, I always reference World War Two. Completely unrelated, but I saw X. It was good. Well, you'll love to see it. Finally made it to a stream. Hi, Violet. How are you? What are you talking about? I feel like you're always in the streams. I don't know. Maybe you haven't been in the last one, a couple ones, but I feel like you're always in stream. I don't know. But getting again back into the discussion. Also, if you guys have any questions or topics you want to talk about in the chat, let me know, because I'm kind of just freeballing it for the most part. But yeah. Hi, Emily. Going through an insanely horrible breakup. Yes, you told me about that. I'm sorry that happened. Sending love your way. Hope everything gets better. But the more important question is, what did you drink to get drunk? That's how I'm either going to say good job or bad job. The way you got drunk has a lot to my approval of that. But yeah, I'm glad you're in here as well, Emily. Also, I'll look at your Discord. I saw them. And I was in the middle of doing, like, my planks, so I didn't get the chance to respond to them, but, yeah. I will respond to them after stream. They actually did not. There was a revolution in Hungary on the 28th, and on October 31st, they completely renounced the personal... Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. 8 Miller Lights and 2 shots of... What are we doing? Emily, what are we doing? That's not the Cersei way. That's not the Cersei way. It's supposed to be... You drink some wine. You drink some nice fruity drinks. No, you're drinking piss water. We don't want to see that. Hi, Advocate. How are you? I'm going. Still having some back issue. Okay. Well, this is going to be a tangent for the stream, but I ended up so I got an injection. Okay. And, so it was for my right side, because my right side was kind of the side that was bothering me. And now my left side's kind of hurting a bit. It's not like anything that's like crazy, it's just like an annoyance pain. It's kind of like if you work out, if any of you guys work out and you're kind of like a little sore the day after. It's nothing crazy, but you're a little sore. That's kind of how I feel like in my left side right now. But it is what it is. How are you, Advocate, by the way? How was your day? Well, Emily, you gotta get some. Hi, Andrew, how are you? But yeah, so again, there's a lot here that I think is going to be very interesting on the way Dany is going to go about conquering. Because given the way I think Tyrion is going to try and advise her, I think it's going to be more of the... like being a dragon, right? Not being afraid to burn down cities. And I think Tyrion, again, definitely because of the way... I think he is treating, again, he is going to be projecting a lot of his mental feelings, a lot of his hatred, his bitterness onto Dany. And so I think he'll be more okay with that. Whereas Barristan is going to kind of take more of an approach of, we shouldn't be burning, cities. We shouldn't be doing this for this reason because, again, it's not great. You're killing a lot of innocents, people like that. And well, the justification here is going to be, coming a lot from, someone like Tyrion or even Dany could be thinking this, that Aegon the Conqueror, burned cities. He burned Harrenhal. And it's really the big issue with the Targaryens, especially during the Dragon era, from, the Conqueror to like Aegon the Third, was how do you balance using the dragons? Like how effectively do you do that? And so that to me is something that, okay, stop random stuff. He didn't technically burn any cities, but he burned Harrenhal. So, and innocent people would have died in that. Like servants would have died, right? You would have hoped that a lot of them, it wouldn't have, but people did. And even if you look at like just, soldiers, right, in battles, right, the field of fire, not all those soldiers were, wanting to be in this battle. It was a lot of their lords, their kings telling them, you have to go into this battle, and a lot of them probably burned. So, I don't know. Sorry to hear, man. Was it a muscle relaxing injection for your back? And I'm doing well, just working. Well, yeah, it was just a steroid. But yeah. So, I don't know. I'm getting another one soon, so we'll see how that goes, because I think I'm getting like two, like pretty close together, and then there's gonna be like a break period, and then there's gonna be a meeting to see how that, I guess, worked or went. I already feel like what they did worked on my right side. I just don't know if like the left side is just like my nerve pain is now going to my left side because my right side's stronger now. I don't know. It's really weird because so I do stretches for my hamstrings, and sometimes I can feel it kind of in my back when I do them, or I'll feel it like down the back side of my leg. And so I used to have that problem in my right side, and now I'm having that like a little bit in my left side. Again, it's not as bad, and it's something that I'm like, I can live with. It's not that bad, but it is just annoying. But yeah. Fruity drinks are not the way to go for a breakup. Terrible hangover there. Okay, well here's the thing, right? You don't gotta get like blackout drunk, all right? If you want me to start dropping some wise advice, I will. I will say, like, maybe alcohol isn't the way. Maybe you just gotta, like, face your feelings. That doesn't really work when you get out of a breakup, but, like, I don't know. I don't know. It could be worse. It could always be worse. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah. I've been drinking so much that I forgot I already told Grease about a breakup on Discord. Yes. But hey, it was during my discussion of my new theory, so at least it was a fruitful conversation. This is true. By the way, I did like your theory. Okay, I will say for like the Lemongate, I'm not like the biggest theory guy on it. I haven't looked into the most on the like the information things on it. I know like more or less what the common theory is, but okay, this is what is so weird right now, is that I'm seeing chat come up on like the stream overlay before it's actually coming up on my YouTube chat. It makes no sense to me. Just castles and his enemies in the field. Yeah. And I mean, I agree with that, but I think the justification is going to be, if you're Dany, right, you're going to go, well, Aegon did it, and not really look at why Aegon did it, right? Aegon had to burn Harrenhal. There was no way they were going to surrender. And two, he needed to make an example of them, right? This is what happens if you go against the Targaryens. It was very important. And then, yeah, the Field of Fire, again, Aegon did need to do. Now, again, innocent people were going to die in either situation. But that's war. That's just what happens in war. And I think for Aegon, in his justification was, well, I'm doing this for the betterment of the rest of the people, right? If we look at, Westeros before Aegon, it was constant warring. The Riverlands were constantly switching hands. They were going from this thing to the next thing. So, yeah, and you just look at, all of these different kings. No one was united. There was no real law of Westeros. I think that's the justification Aegon used, is that, you know, if he takes over, things are going to be more peaceful. And that was partially true, and probably was still better because you had like years of peace, but you know, the Targaryens are the Targaryens, so. I went through spinal fusion surgery. I know all about that kind of pain. Do what you gotta do. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it because the first injection stuff I got, yeah, it wasn't pleasant. That's all I'll say. It wasn't pleasant. Alcohol makes my feelings go away until I move out next week. Fair enough. By the way, not sure if you've talked about this already, but the yeah, so I saw that. I don't even know how to feel about it because I just think it's one of these things where it's like people are kind of looking into it like, oh, this may affect how George is writing and stuff like that. At this point, like, George has been trying to write this, or maybe not. If you think he hasn't even been trying, can't really convince you otherwise. But if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. I don't really take a whole lot of stake in, oh, you know, the strike's over, so he's going to have a lot of stuff to work on outside of wins. It's like, at this point, he's either going to work on it or not work on it. I mean, maybe you could view it as, oh, okay, now he's just been given a situation to where it's like, yeah, I don't need to write wins right now because I can do this other stuff. That's possible. Yeah, Maz. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. But I think for me, I've always been someone that's never been a drinker, really. Like, I've talked about this before. I've only really been, like, actually drunk maybe twice. And it was not even to the point where it was like, I got a hangover the next day. It was, yeah, I don't know. You should read the Kraken Bowl theory by Mythers. It is that Victarion will end up killing Jorah and Barrison and take control of Meereen. Interesting. I've not heard of that theory before. I don't know if I like that theory, but, you know, I'll have to look at the evidence. Perrin left him no choice. What was Aegon's? Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% agree. And honestly, if I was Aegon, it's probably what I've wanted to happen. Because in this situation, it gave Aegon all the justification to, again, attack. What was he supposed to do? Harren gave him no choice. So now he can make a huge, huge message to the rest of Westeros. Harrenhal is the biggest and best castle, and yet I torched it in a night and took them out. It was a perfect move for Aegon, really. Yeah, agreed, Violet. I completely agree with your sentiment. I doubt Tyrion will be able to take Meereen the Unsullied, a far superior warrior to the Ironborn and the Second Sons of Cavalry, but I will watch. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know how he would do it by himself, but it is possible. Okay, so Emily, that's another idea I've added to my video selection, is going to be kind of talking about the idea of Aegon was actually infertile. And it kind of does have some interesting points to it, because it's like, okay, Aegon had Rhaenys and Visenya as his wives for so long, but yet didn't have children for a while. Like, Maegor doesn't come for quite a bit of time after. And Rhaenys and Aegon, who apparently had a good relationship, only had Aenys. So it is a little bit sus. And then when you also mix in the fact that neither Aenys or Maegor were really like Aegon at all, like maybe they were really just the extremes of Aegon, I guess. It is it's a really interesting theory. And I really like it. I don't know if I believe it, but I like it. I mean, I would agree with that, Ghost. And I'm not trying to say, like, Aegon was intentionally trying to kill people, but, like, it just would have happened, right? It just is, you know, that's how I look at it. I don't know. I don't think the writer's strike has made a difference. If COVID didn't push him, the strike wouldn't have. He goes, yeah, I agree with that, Maz. I just really want to see a conversation between Victarion and yeah, I definitely think we're gonna get one. And okay, so that brings up a whole nother idea because I recorded a video for this week that's talking about kind of the POVs and if they're actually an issue. And I think for me, I've come to this opinion that I don't really think the POVs are the problem. I think it's the story is the problem of why George is like taking so long to make wins, why it's going to be such a big book. It's not because of the POVs, it's because of what has to happen. Right? Like everything just there's so much that needs to happen. Dany needs to get through all of the Dothraki stuff. She needs to get through the Marine stuff. She needs to get to Westeros and making a couple stops before she even gets to Westeros. We have everything in the north. The others have to come through at some point. Someone has to be in control of the north by the end of the book, right? Well, I mean, that's really not POVs. Like when you look at the POVs, there's 20 POVs in which I believe 2 of them could die pretty quickly. Arya Hoda, I think Darkstar is probably going to kill. And the other one is Damphir, and I think he's headed out as well. So that kind of gets you down to 18 POVs. And then you have 2 main areas where we have a ton of POVs. So Marine and Essos, we have Arya, Dany, Barristen, Victarion, Tyrion. So those are about 3 different plots, but Arya's plot eventually is going to get to Brienne and Jaime's plot, hopefully at some point. And then the Dany and all the other characters, right? So Dany, when she finishes her plot with the Dothraki or whatever, now you have Dany, Victarion, Barristan, and Tyrion all together. So more or less what's going to end up happening is you're just going to see Dany's plot through one of those 4. So it's not really the POV, it's more like it's the story. The same thing happens with the North, right? You have Jon, Mel, Davos, Bran, Asha, Theon. 4 of those POVs pretty early in the story are going to be pretty close to each other, right? Jon, Mel, Theon, and Asha at some point, probably around the mid part, I would say, of the book, are probably going to be in like the same area. If we even get Jon as a POV again. Bran is a character that once he gets to a certain point of his story, I think stops being a POV. So I think the issue is not really the POVs. It's just the massive amount of content that we need to get through. So like, and that's my thing, right? If you even look at like what I just talked about, how Jon could stop being a POV, similar to like Catelyn with Stoneheart. Well, now Jon's not a POV. Bran is probably going to stop being one. And if Jon stops being a POV, Mel is really the one that's going to be the massive one for the Jon plot until Davos gets back. Because then once Davos gets back, I think Mel is going to just not be really a POV at all. And so you have Theon, Asha, and Davos, who I think are really your main POVs by the end of Winds of Winter. But, so, okay, my thing with Bran is I don't see how he can be a POV. Just given the mass amount of information that he will know at a certain point. Like, once Bran starts down this road and he's kind of taken all of the powers and he's kind of evolved, he's like Littlefinger and Varys. We can't have POVs with the mass bulk amounts of knowledge that he has. Because it's like, if we're in Bran's head and we just start getting reveals like, oh, Jon is a Dane, Jon is a Targaryen, whatever, right? That's very anticlimactic. So, yeah. But the point of this is like, when you look at all the POVs, they're all really grouped together for the most part. Like, outside of a couple. There's a couple that are very not grouped together. The first one being Samwell in the Reach. He's very isolated. He is not, next to anyone. So he's kind of a storyline by himself. Also, I will say, because I'm kind of seeing you guys while I'm going on this little tangent, I'll get back to the comments in a second, or chat, but I'm not saying Bran will never be a POV, right? But I think his role, like, he may get, like, a chapter here, maybe a chapter, like, special chapters. I don't think, like, he's going to be a constant POV at all. But I don't know. Maybe not. Also, other ones that are kind of isolated. So you have Cersei in King's Landing. She could also be, again, the Westerlands POV. So she's kind of an isolated POV. So she's kind of her own storyline until that kind of intercepts with young Griff. I can't speak. Young Griff and also, Jon Con Arion. So those two POVs will kind of basically be young Griff. That's kind of the young Griff POV. And then, yeah, so like, that's my thing is like, you also have like Jaime, Brienne, who are going to be one POV basically. It's going to be like Storm of Swords all over again. I don't know. I think I look at the POVs and I don't really feel like they're the problem. I think the storylines of how to unite all the characters is the real problem. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, let me go back up to chat. I believe George has stated on his blog that it wasn't going to affect the writing of the book. Well, of course he's going to say that. Code actually did push him read his blogs during lockdown. Yeah, but like, I think the point here is that yes, he made that progress, but yeah, it's 2020, and we still haven't gotten the book yet. So I don't know. I kind of wish it was true because the implication is that for the Targaryen line is pretty interesting, especially with the Blackfires. Yeah, I agree about it. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Peaks and the Ironborn, that's a great comparison. They're both massive morons. Aryo and Abara are going bye-bye soon. I definitely could see that, Emily. I definitely think Aryo is. Sorry to say this, but George is really going to have to start killing off more characters and wins. I agree. I think Victarion's another POV that I think could be dead by the end of Winds of Winter. I hate to say it, but Barristen could be gone. I don't really want to see Barristen die because I think he has so much value. I think Barristen, if he's going to die, it needs to be after he's at least met Young Griff. I just want to see that. Like, if Young Griff is a Blackfire, for Barristen to come face to face with the last of the Blackfire line, even though he thought he slayed that earlier on, it's just a really interesting conversation. It's a really interesting moment that we could have in Barristen's mind. I don't know. I really like that idea. Jon might stop being a POV. Yeah, it's very possible. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like 50-50 on that. Because the idea is going to be like, Jon is going to be a changed character, but how changed, right? Because if his like spirit or his soul is in Ghost, and that's what ends up being the thing that like brings him back, is that transfer of his soul back into his body. How is that going to affect him? How is that going to affect him being inside of his wolf for so long? That's going to be something that's really interesting. Also, just because I saw the message, Emily, I hope you feel better. I hope everything goes well for you. Love you as well. And yeah, I want to say that before you left the stream. I could believe he could do it in $3, but $2 is pretty sketchy. I feel like Dany would need a whole book. Yeah, that's my thing, right? Is I think if George wasn't putting as much pressure on making it 2 books, I think he would have a much easier time. Because Dany to me is just I don't know how he's gonna do Dany. I just don't. Because there's so many cool ideas with Dany going to all of these places even after she leaves Meereen. And it's just like, do we have time for this? Like, how quickly is the Dothraki plot going to get wrapped up? Like, how quickly is the Meereen plot going to get wrapped up? Like, how does Dany deal with leaving someone in charge of Meereen? Or does she just say, screw it? Does she just admit, I can't do this? But how does that affect her? Like, there's so many questions I have with Dany's plotline. Like, how do you nerf her? Like, make her even competitive that someone could even go against her? There's so many, like, I think issues with Dany as a whole. But if Bran becomes king, he should stay a POV. Okay. He's still a child, so he might not understand all the visions he sees. That's fair, Jesse. I could see that. But I think the issue is not that. It's that the visions... Now, I guess